Correct. Sai Ram, Sai Ram. असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गमय. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. In the previous talk number 11, he revealed some of the lakshanas of existence as Shiva, as light, if sadhakas can recall. What were their lakshanas? And he confirmed that all these lakshanas emerged while seated in a Sai center. What were they? Shiva as light is changeless. And he said, sometime it does not appear sometime and disappear in another time. It is absolutely ever eternally changeless. Second, Shiva as light is all pervading, pervades creation and is prior to creation, far beyond creation, but when the creation mysteriously appeared, then the creation has to be within that light because that light was ever before. So it has to be all pervading, or the creation is within that light. Next, he said, 1 minute. There is no difference in quality of light between any two places. Sky seems to be all pervading, changeless in existence, but appears in different colors. Somewhere bright, somewhere dark, somewhere it is existing at the same time. In the other part of the globe, it is not existing. The sun, the sky, it is clouded. Shiva, the light, is all pervading. Shiva, the light, is changeless. And Shiva is same, ekam, everywhere, the entire creation. This flows from which part? This flows from that all pervasive quality, nature of Lakshana of Shiva, the light, because the light is Purnam, the light is eternal, Anantam, the creation is within that Anantam light. So, in the creation, seated in the creation, or wherever it is experienced in the meditation, the light Shiva is the same. There is no difference because the creation has emerged after the light and within the light, pure canvas, Chitradeep. There is nothing apart from light. This beautifully flows from one flows from the previous, and the third flows from the other previous two. Like that, this flows from all the above. And here, like Acharya takes each session, each pour back when he gives the other. In this quality, nothing other than that, it takes back all the previous qualities because the all pervasiveness, when you say it is all pervading, then that means that there has to be something which it pervades, right? But here, when we say there is nothing apart from that light, so the creation is not there ultimately. These were the revelations which came from the source seated at the center. Now we move on to further depth. What all out of these revelations are we going to take back today in the today's satsang? Let us see as the satsang progresses. Another day, he sits in the same center and it flows from the source. Thus, I am changeless. This state is changeless. The state seated at in samadhi at the center. I am one. It is not that there are different lokas and I exist changeless in each loka, but in each loka I am different yet changeless in that loka. No, I am only one. I am the one changeless. However, there is nothing apart from me. So there is no creation. So, in this revelation, the later revelation on another day, two of the earlier revelations were taken back. The all pervasiveness and no difference in quality. Because when there is no creation, there is nothing apart from me, Saddarshanam. Then there is no relevance of all pervasiveness and there is no relevance of ekam because there is nothing apart from that or there is nothing apart from me even to say there is only one. If I were to say there is only one, then I am the one changeless consciousness, but I am separating that from that consciousness and telling that I am the one. The consciousness is not going to spell out that I am the one. So, Ekam, all pervasiveness, taken back. On the other day, one more revelation got added to changeless and nothing apart from me. Now, all pervasiveness is gone, Ekam is gone. As of now, changeless remains and nothing apart from nothing apart from me remains. On that day, one more revelation came. What was that? Shiva, existing as Shiva, the light, I am Purna, whole. When this revelation comes, Purnam, the light, as light I am Purnam, in the interpretation or in the contemplation, there may be reference of creation or there may not be reference of creation also at the highest level of uh, contemplation. Purnam. When we go to the literal interpretation, when from the whole something is taken away, Purnamada Purnamidam, Purnat Purnamudachate, the whole still remains as whole. Then that when that one taking away part comes, then the creation reference may come. But when you just exist as Purnam, that Upanishad verse is also that also get merged in that Purnam Sthiti. Purna, whole. This whole is a synonym in the meditative experience, not a literal translation at mind level. This Purnam at the highest level of meditative experience is the same as nothing apart from me. Nothing apart from me, the whole Purna. Now we move on to the further verses of today's satsang. Verse number 83. When by means of yoga, man comes to perceive nothing but consciousness everywhere, he becomes a perfect knower of self. He abides in the self, and abiding therein, he knows it like unto his own self when he perceives all living beings as abiding in the self and the self in all living beings. He realizes the supreme. This is the verse. Shiva says. The self in all living beings, the verse says. Go back to the Ribhu Gita verse, self of all, without all. When Shiva says, he perceives nothing but consciousness everywhere, when this expression is contemplated intensely and one gets the inner experience of existence consciousness, then the relevance of everywhere is also gone. That is why perhaps it was revealed now a little before that the all pervasiveness relevance is not there. When all pervasiveness reference is there, then everywhere relevance also comes. He does not perceive consciousness everywhere. He is consciousness. And there is nothing other than him, other than me, other than that, the Shiva. The penultimate stage to this is this just is or just consciousness is what Shiva says in this verse. And when he perceives all living beings as abiding in self and self in all living beings, he realizes the Supreme. When he is unable to see anything, experience, or unable to experience anything in anyone except consciousness, then and then only anyone or all are also gone. So this verse number 83 is just standing at the almost at the 18th step in Shabarimala. This is saying that everywhere, self of all beings. It is crossed, then the Hari Om Tat Sat is seen, then this everywhere, all beings, everything prostrates and leaves. Next verse. Having realized the highest, the soul abides in the state of unified consciousness, wherein he perceives not the multitude of living beings but only the one. Then he is one with the Supreme Self and has attained the state of absolute being. See how beautifully what was revealed in that state in the previous talk, out of that state, from that state, as that state in the previous talk, it is unfolding itself as we proceed further. He said one, and he said nothing other than me. Exactly the same is echoed in this verse. He perceives not the multitude of beings, but only one. That only one is what? Nothing other than that, or Purnam. Now, as of now, we are focused on three: changeless, nothing apart from me, Purnam. How the session unfolds itself on these three as we proceed, let us see. Verse number 85. When the soul has perceived the truth, all the passions that cleave to the heart drop off. And having become pure, he attains perfection. Verily, he acquires a living body of light and becomes an immortal in this very life. When he realizes the whole diversity of living beings as existing in the one and as born on that one, of that one, he attains the highest. What the verse says, he acquires a living body of light. Is saying that he exists as light. His living body may exist and continue to perform its duties, but in essence, he exists as light. When he walks on the earth, in his Sahaja Samadhi Sthiti. And in the creation, he sees the vast sea of human beings. The last line is given by Shiva with reference to that Videha Mukta existing as light, seeing the universe. How possibly he will be seeing the universe, or how possibly the vast sea of human beings will appear before him? Shiva answers in this verse when he says, he realizes the whole diversity of living beings, living things as existing in the one and as born of that one. Thus realized, he attains the highest. In fact, he is that one. He exists as that one. There is not a second. Next verse. When he sees the absolute self as real experience and the entire universe as immaterial, like an illusion, he experiences the highest bliss, Paramanand. If you remember a verse and the talk on the verse in the Ashtavakra Gita on the Mairaj, the creation appears as illusion when he walks on earth. Then he is aware of the creation still, and he is discharging his responsibilities still. Even while dealing with the world, acting in the world, being in the family, or running an ashram, interacting with family or interacting with so many people staying or visiting the ashram, when he has realized the self, when he abides in self, then everything else, including this creation and all in this creation, are realized as existing but illusory. Like the barrage, which appears as water, but it is not water. Here, one clarification is required. This also aligns with the milestone pour on the ocean and the waves. Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. Jivo Bhutaf Sanatana. When he walks amidst the creation, existing as Shiva delight, the various multitude of bodies, multitude of human beings with their varieties of vasanas, at the grosser level, this is illusion. Not the spark in them, not the light in them, not the Atman in them. That is not an illusion. So, this clears one thing, that we cannot rule out the entire universe telling that everything is illusion, everything is untrue. The physical existence, the ragadveshas, the abhinivesha, the vasanas, they are all illusion. But like me existing as light, Shiva the light, all are sparks of the same light. It is something different that due to the circumstances you may not be letting them know, you may not be communicating, you may not be letting them know that you are all Atman, you are all pure, you are all spark of that light. Like Maharaj said yesterday, the quotation sent to few, you are that ocean. You may set yourself in seclusion, you may be up away from the entire universe of beings, but it goes along with this one truth that any human being in on this earth, if like erasing that this thing in the canvas, if all their grosser level of existence with their v's, with their klishas, they are that is erased, what remains is the same as what I am. I may not hug them, I may not tell them, I may not communicate with them, but at the end the compassion flows because I have realized they have not. Still time to go, still births to go. O Sai, shower thy love on them, shower thy mercy on them, so that they realize that what they are not that. And what they have not understood and what they are convinced about, they are that verily. Next, verse number 87. When one attains perfect knowledge of the Supreme Being, that is, Supreme Being here in this verse is translated as Para Satta or Paramartha Satta. What is that? He has explained to you all earlier in a different language. When one attains the perfect knowledge of the Supreme Being, the Paramartha Satta, the sole remedy for the sorrows of birth, old age, and all kinds of ailments, he becomes one with Shiva, the Lord of those who are perfect. Para Satta, Paramartika Satta, absolute real, Paramartika, Vyavaharika, all these were all explained, if you remember. Parasatta or Paramartika Satta, this absolute level which is absolutely real and into which both all other relative levels can be resolved. The experience cannot be sublated by any other experience. At this highest level, the one eternal alone is real. This Paramartika perspective can only be taken from the one who has recognized who he truly is. What he truly is, what he has recognized, he is the eternal self. Here only Brahman exists with no reference to material existence or individual souls. At this stage, the individual soul has lost complete identity with the body, mind, and intellect complex and completely merged into the Brahman. This is explained as Supreme Being by Shiva, Parasatya. Further, very clearly, Shiva has addressed all sorrows of birth in this verse. In this verse, he confirms sorrows of birth, pain, disease due to old age, emotional pains in the old age when family more or less discards you, may discard you. For all these pain at the physical level, at the emotional level, at the psychological level, at the mental level, at all levels, the only remedy, the permanent remedy is to realize the self and be one with Shiva. The light exists as Shiva, the light. There is no equivalent remedy to this only and only remedy. Why he is roaring and telling this? Because if you come down a little bit from that state, Parasakta, that state, then your mind will come into play. And once mind comes into play, all the sorrows, all the pains will grip you. Like stated in the Viveka Chudamani commentary by Swami Vivekananda, Swami Chinmayananda. The samsara, the world, as a shark, will swallow you suited and booted. You will not even realize you will be dancing within the belly of the shark, suited and booted, without even realize that you are gone already. That is this illusory power of Maya, power of this illusory world. It swallows you, but it paints a beautiful picture of ignorance within you that you never ever realize that you have been swallowed. You are gone. You eat, you drink, you make merry within the belly of the shark, having already been swallowed. This that means in the Vedantic parlance, this being swallowed by the shark of samsara is to say that once you are swallowed, once you have been taken in, then swallowed in, then perhaps there is no chance for you to realize your true identity and to come out of the belly of the shark and to exist as Paramartha Satta, as divine light. Thus, the dancing goes within the belly of the shark, and thus one falls sick. Thus, one gets diseases. One falls into the sick bed, not attended by your own people, and one cries and dies. Should a human life be so pathetic? We don't realize hundreds and thousands of times Acharyas have come and gone, incarnations have come and gone, Satya Sai came and went. Still, we don't realize that if we do not take efforts for engaging ourselves in Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, if we don't take efforts in immersing in the bhakti of or on our chosen Lord, when we are active, when we are in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, there is very little chance that you can engage in all this sadhana intensely when you have to take intense efforts to move your leg from one place to another for going to wash. You will focus on your body, your pain, or you will engage in manana nididhyasana. You think. Still, and our parents, our grandparents, and our neighbors, our relatives, we have seen them pass through this pathetic stage. Still, we don't realize. This is Maya. This is avidya. What will happen if you have realized it's a self and due to your, like the moving fan or the moving potter's wheel, even after the potter has stopped his work, your birth is continuing to finish your prarabdha karma up to the point, up to that day of realization. What will happen if your body is still suffering, but you have realized it as self? For that, you have to see the jnanis who suffered but had realized long before Ramana, Shivanandaji Maharaj, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. They are all before us. How one exists, even while going through the physical ailment, cancers, etc., paralysis, heart disease, heart functioning at 20%, Chinmayanandaji. How you will exist? You will be in that Paramananda, Brahmananda within. And smile and laugh at your body suffering. And you, as Brahman, will look, imagine this, at least visualize this. You, as Brahman, you will laugh at your own body and you will say, you suffer, you have to clear your prarabdha karma, and you will say to that body that you clear your prarabdha karma and come and merge in me, not Brahman, come and merge in me, the Brahman. That is the state. Now, given these two options, which one you want to go for, go in for? Suffer, suffer, suffer physically, mentally, everywhere, in all aspects in the sick bed, with your relatives showing their faces when they have to take care of your ablutions, or whatever may be happening within, you are existing as that, in that bliss of Brahman, and letting the body suffer, letting the relatives frown, letting whatever happen is happening. The worst may happen to that body because maybe that body need not be born again. Intellectually, the difference, disparity in these two possible options are so crystal clear. Still, we don't take up sadhana to the required level. This is not our prarabdha karma. This is our lack of purushartha. We are lacking in the two of the four purusharthas, dharma and moksha. Pakka, he is sealing and delivering this truth fact to you. Lack of purushartha. Next, beautiful verse. Beautiful verse. This Shiva Rahasya, at least to 5, 10 people, sadhakas or devotees, this should have reached. The purpose of their being Sai devotees or devotees, bhaktas or sadhakas would have got completed if few more had taken up this Shiva Rahasya. But alas, Maya, avidya, vasanas, swallowed by the shark. Compassion swells in from within, but he is helpless. He cried out, come, come, come. Take up sadhana, take up sadhana, take up sadhana. Don't miss out on sadhana. But it doesn't happen. He can cry out of compassion and love to see the sadhakas reaching his or that own state, that very state before he passes away, before he breathes the last in this human birth. And that love may swell like anything, but still he cannot ignite the spark of sadhana chatushtaya. He cannot rekindle the fire of mumukshatva within sadhakas. And when that mukshatva is lacking somewhere, the eyebrows raise. Why this fellow is after us so much? Then he has to retreat. He has to stay back and continue to shower love in silence. Boundless love in silence. Spoken words of pursuing may not help. When somewhere in the samsara, partly or fully swollen swallowed by the shark, the Viveka Vairagya Shat Sampat Mumukshatva is at stake. Then his pursuing may not really help. Swami could do that, but even Swami did not do that. He did not rekindle the sadhana chatushtaya in anyone because it goes as per one's prarabdha and it goes as per one's lack of Purushartha. Yes, the masters and the incarnations will keep pouring on this Purushartha aspect, on all the indicators, Upanishads, Vedanta, Ribhugita, Shivarahasya, everything, indirectly in a subtle way so that it can go and it can rekindle that Purushartha within the sadhaka, but not go and straight away ignite and light up that. That is not done. Verse number 88. Just as rivers, large and small, merge with the ocean and become one with it, even so, the soul becomes one with the deathless and unblemished reality. Verse number 89. We will deal with both these verses together. They are actually inseparable verses. As the diverse sweet juices are extracted from different flowers and mingled into honey by a bee, even so, the souls, human and divine, are indistinguishably united with each other, as a cloud joining another cloud, as water joining water, and a flame joining another flame. Don't know how many hours he existed in this verse. All the entire talks on the Shivarahasya up to now, except where he would have taken some Upanishad quote reference, they have all flowed from the source. At least he has checked, he has seen. There are no discourses available on Shivarahasya in the net. And there are no Shivarahasya commentary available on the Amazon books at all. So when Swami gave him the intuition of taking up the Shivarahasya to couple of you, everything that flows from within, they are tight and kept in this file laptop. Not a line, not an inch of it is coming from any other previous commentary on. There are commentaries available for Upanishads, for Viveka Chudamani, for everything. Even for Ribhu Gita, one foreigner, one saint has spoken on few verses, not all verses. Maybe 5% commentary may be available for Ribhu Gita. There is no commentary available for Shivaras. So trust, everything is from the source. And how priceless then it should be. And those who are taking it up, how much dedication you should show. And how much you should use this Shivarahasya ports to rekindle that fire within you, which should never get extinguished, come what may. Immediately after giving the previous talk 11, he was relaxing and going through this verse, and the eyes, the mind, the intellect, and then the source, everything stopped. The creation came to a standstill with this one verse. Stream of rivers merging with the ocean. The individual Atman merging with Brahman has been explained in several talks, most importantly in the Love is God session, where he referred to the smaller stream of water flowing from the mountains merging into the river and existing as one with the river, not separable from the river anymore. Prema Sagara. But the next verse, that expression came from within. He had typed it out, so he must tell you. And now, also with the same excitement, a trillion times aho, 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 aho. The fruit juice referred to in the context of a sadhaka turned seer is the self that he is existing as upon self realization. Another fruit juice that is referred to here is the universal consciousness, Brahman. This is all flowing from the source. When these two fruit juices are merged together, when individual consciousness merges with the universal consciousness, beautifully described in this verse as cloud joining another cloud, water joining another water, flame joining another flame, where the cloud water flame which is rushing to merge and the cloud water flame in which it gets merged, both are the same. What happens when that merger takes place? Two fruit juices may have different tastes, but when out of their mixing, honey is formed. Then the honey has a taste which, though resulting out of mixture of the two different juices, is totally different from the taste of either of these juices. It is altogether a different taste. What does this mean? When Atman merges with Brahman, the state of a Jivan Mukta, Videha Mukta, Avadhuta, post merger, is far beyond the description of one juice, Atman, and the description and the quality of another juice, Brahman, described in finite languages in the Upanishads. The resultant honey, the Brahma Anubhuti, that is different and that is far beyond the nature and the quality of both juices. The nature and quality of Atman or Brahman, as known or as understood or as convinced about in the Mananam stage, till the time Sattvic intellect remained. Both juices merge to get the honey, but the honey, the quality of the honey exceeds the quality of either of the juices, and it is such that it is difficult to even grasp that it was formed out of the mixture of the two juices, because there it exceeds the state of the Videha Mukta, exceeds or is far beyond Atman or Brahman. beyond the manifest and unmanifest. Yajnavalkya, Valkya, Maitreyi, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. I am neither Atman nor Brahman. I am I. Song of Self. When it came from the source, then how that state of that honey, how that state of that state which is beyond Atman and Brahman should have been to have to for the source to be daring to say to not to ridicule but to go beyond the Upanishads, 108 Upanishads, to say, to even say that I am neither Atman nor Brahman. What should be that state? Now, coming back to the four: changeless, all pervading, no difference in the quality of light between two places, homogeneous, ekam, and nothing apart from that. With the eyes closed, he sits in samadhi. Oh, my existence as Shiva is changeless. Oh my existence as Shiva delight pervades the entire creation. Oh, my existence is homogeneous. Oh, in that existence as Shiva delight, I have gone beyond the creation. And my existence as Shiva is nothing other than that existence, no creation apart from me. More silence, more and more silence. Whatever is flowing after the expression is, in all the expressions, my existence as Shiva is changeless. My existence as Shiva is homogeneous. Is. Whatever is flowing after this is, they are all further description of my existence as Shiva. And for any further description, I have to come down from that existence as Shiva, right? With a smile, he exists for a long time as Shiva delight. All these lakshanas disappear. At best, he could relate Shiva to unimaginable light, which can also be understood as fire. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad session, fire, in which everything gets bleak, in which everything gets diluted, in which everything gets merged. Nothing else. No creation is even perceived in that mighty orb of light. The first Shiva Rahasya talk, description of Shiva. When the four rishis are waiting, Durvasa and others are waiting for the Shiva, and the Shiva descends. Mighty orb of light. In all these expressions, revelations, expressions, changeless, homogeneous, ekam, nothing apart from me, all these expressions flow are following after the is somewhere the most subtlest, purest sattvic intellect has to come to state this. At least can he say that that existence is Purnam? Yes, it is Purnam. But even that expression Purnam is not experienced in that ultimate state. So can we say that existence is unimaginable, luminous Purnam, but without the thought of that being unimaginable, luminous Purnam? Shiva explained in the initial verses about himself as a dazzling stream of light, a mighty orb of light was descended from the highest height. It is the author of Shiva Rahasya who has described this. Shiva has not described. Similarly, when one exists as that, one is unable to relate to this light or any quality or any nature described about Shiva, even in the Shiva Rahasya. But the seekers of centuries, for them, for them to understand and take up the Shiva Rahasya for contemplation to go beyond that light, Shiva had to be explained as that light. A later revelation that came from the source within. Daily, he has been sitting in silence, meditating on the line Brahman self within. This was given in further to the lightening Brahman, third or fourth, he doesn't remember the number. He gave from the beach. Brahman, self within, out of compassion, projects himself and illumines the self and reveals that the sadhaka or I am not the darkness within. That is, he removes the darkness within, the avidya. The avidya is gone. Just like clouds disappear when the sun shines, and thereafter the role of illumining and removing the darkness of avidya is over, and I just exist as that, said he as source in a further talk, brief word on lightening Brahman. What is this Brahman lightening? The strongest lightning is most powerful and most striking and happens suddenly. Like this revelation was also given in a lightning Brahman. Like this, in the timeless time of our most powerful, most intense Nididhyasana, suddenly, like the sparkling light which appears suddenly and brighter than the brightest, the leftover avidya is gone. Thus, the Brahman as lightning is that moment of most intense nididhyasana in our life when suddenly the darkness of avidya leaves us. So Brahman as lightning is not a lightning or an illumination other than me, but it is used in the context of removing the last trace of darkness of avidya. Brahman separated from me, he said in the further lightning pour, and somehow mysteriously, mystically graced me and showered compassion on me and illumined me in the sense that the illumination is with the reference of removal of the darkness within me, he said. Now he takes back all of this today, as has been ever happening in this GSP. Can we say GSP? Okay, let us say GSP with one or two shishyas. When when Acharya says that Brahman within the within the sadhaka standing at the moksha dwar separates himself from the self and he wills. This will is the same mystic will in the Upanishads with which the God created the universe. That will has not been explained in any Upanishad at all, or any of the realized masters at all. How can Brahman will? So it has to be taken as it is. So when we say the Brahman willed and separated himself from the self and then he illumined and removed the conscious, the darkness of ignorance, either to perceive that Brahman, we have to give form to that Brahman. But form, Brahman is Nirguna Nirakara. Or to perceive that Brahman in the meditation, we have to use our mind intellect to perceive or to visualize an imaginary process where the Brahman has come out of us and he is showering compassion on us and removing the darkness of ignorance. And in that context, he is said to have illumined us. The illumining, the light comes from it is deciphered or it is referred from the point of view of the removal of the darkness. That illumination has reference only with reference to the darkness of ignorance. Suppose there was a cave where there was never any darkness. So, where is the necessity for the sunlight to usher in and to remove the darkness? Like we say, nidal is with reference to veil. Similarly, this lightening or illumining is with reference to the darkness of ignorance, avidya. So, this giving a form to that Brahman is also difficult. Imagining that Brahman brings our sattvic intellect. So, but Acharya, you only gave all these revelations. Now, you are just leaving us like Trishanku in between, neither on earth nor on heaven. What do we do? On what do we contemplate? Do we not have the same Brahman descended on earth with form as Satyasai? Satisfied with sadhaka's intensity of nididhyasana, sadhaka's penultimate stage to get the realization. Now the Brahman has form also, and he showers compassion also. All the qualities of all are satisfied. Sai, our Lord of Lords, looks at the sadhaka with most compassion and love and decides to shower his grace on sadhaka. The last holding of hand to take us to the abode. Thus, the ultimate grace of Sai falls on the Mumukshu sadhaka. Nothing happens without his will session. This grace is the ultimate will, ultimate benediction that Sai showers on the sadhaka, standing at the doorstep of salvation. True to the description of lightning, that grace of Sai is striking, sparkling, vibrating, most powerful. Same, this grace is referred to as light because it has done the role of illumining in the context of removing the darkness. Hence, it is light. Without the qualities of a normal physical light, which one can imagine. Light without the qualities of light, said Ramakrishna. We are coming to the end. Since Sai, Brahman, who has descended on earth, is all but compassion and love, he is verily the light that is compassion, the light that is love. Experiencing Sai as the light of love is like saying, feel the fragrance of Sai, though he is not there in form. And at once, as a flash, the sadhaka is awakened to his real identity, self. Sai is light. Sadhaka is now light. In this merger of lights, the duality between Sai and Sadhaka ends. Now also we can say, I am neither Atman nor Brahman, because neither Sai is there nor Sadhaka is there. Only that light. Go back to the Bhugita verse. The only obstacle standing in the Mashana Bhumi, the ghost of ignorance, obstructing the vision of the Sai, Satchitananda Shiva, not Sai, Satchitananda Shiva, the light of lights, that ghost has been burnt by the same Shiva. Why we call Shiva as the most merciful, most compassionate? He has known, he has witnessed years and decades of sadhana of a mumukshu sadhaka. He is also seeing that ghost which is standing between himself and the sadhaka, which is the last trace of ignorance, avidya. And in that compassion, he burns that ignorance. That is illumining light. The ghost has been burnt by the same Shiva, Sai, existing as light. And with that ghost of avidya burnt, the light of grace fills the sadhaka wholly, completely, and the sadhaka now transforms into that very light. Such a sadhaka within whom Sai has awakened the self within, even upon existing as light, is ever filled with gratitude for Sai because that one glance, that one look of grace and compassion, that grace which showered on him as ambrosia, nectar, made him come face to face with the divinity within. So that sadhaka turned seer has his head always at the feet of this Sai. Now Shivarahasya and Sai, Shivarahasya and nothing happens without the will. They merge together here. Never before in this particular top 12. He has his head always at the feet of Sai. Bhakti meets Jnana. Always his head he has at the feet of Sai, which is always adored and worshipped by lotus, not as lotus feet. Correction here. That feet is worshipped by the lotus because lotus gained its softness from that feet. Lotus became what it is. If Sai's feet was not there, perhaps the lotus would have never gained that softness. This can be experienced only by those who have touched his feet. He doesn't know the number, but definitely 15, 20 times he was blessed. And even like a Donnapoto, like a mad, this thing, he was even allowed to let his tears fall, tap, 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 tap on that lotus feet. That was his compassion. He did not withdraw his feet. He knew and he allowed. 2001 June with Tiwariji seated on his side. He knew, he knows what happened that day. Because after he returned, he had to announce, he knew that this is one opportunity. Afterwards, of course, he withdrew that declaration. But after June, somewhere in the Guru Purnima, July, he said that don't touch my feet. So when he went in August, he could not touch his feet. He was blessed that offer letter for Muscat was blessed. Everything was done, but he could not touch. So he knew it before. Like he knew it before in August 2010. What is going to happen in April 2011? So that glance. So he went beyond all levels, possible levels of compassion to allow even in this mad bhakta to let the tears drop, touch that feet. So that grace due to which sadhaka has realized itself is the ultimate will of the Lord. Ultimate will of the Lord. Without that will of the Lord, that grace would not have got showered. And any devotee, any master would not have realized self. Even with years or decades or several births of sadhana, ultimately that grace. And he is, our Sai is ever waiting and waiting and waiting only to shower that grace. But unfortunately, sadly, he is not finding eligible mumukshus, eligible sadhakas for availing that ultimate, last, ultimate grace. Why he is telling in last in what context? Because after that ultimate grace, last grace, the distinction between this bhakta and the Bhagavan is going to vanish. Then the bhakta is ever going to exist as that grace itself. Last grace, last glance, last padasparsh. Last in the sense, after that the duality ends. Here, this is also his will that after 11 talks in the 12th talk, in the climax, this Shivarahasya meets and merges with the nothing happens without the will of God. Or nothing happens without the will of God, as confirmed by Swami in few of his quotes, which were referred in that session. Leave alone even him giving that session. The master of masters, the God's assurance, nothing happens without my will. That confirmation, that affirmation, Shiva Rahasya meets and marries in this particular talk towards the end. That would make this particular talk 12 eternally immemorial. This would stand out as the eternal of all the Shivarasya course which happened before or which are bound to happen after this with his will. Jai Sai Ram. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Sachit Ananda Shiva. Pranams.